Hello, everyone on Facebook and YouTube. I am live and this is new. I've never been live on both channels before, both platforms before. So let me know in the comments if there's any issues, if you can't hear me or if it freezes, and I will try to figure out how to fix that. But I wanted to come on tonight and just have a more laid back kind of conversation. I have been talking about that something is coming, and I've been developing a program for at least 6 months now, maybe even longer than that. This has been something that has been on my heart for a while and something that I have been actively working on for at least the last 3 or 4 months. Now, if you are watching some of my videos on YouTube, you'll notice 2 things. Number one, the last couple weeks, my consistency has fallen off a little bit. Now, is that because I'm less dedicated to my channel or less dedicated to the content or less dedicated to some of those newer series that I've started, such as the chakra series and expanding on that and the series on the clairs? No, it doesn't mean that I have changed my mind about doing those series. The reason that those videos have taken a step back is because I've literally been spending hundreds of hours putting together this program. So what I wanted to do tonight is just to have a really laid back atmosphere to talk about what's been going on. I've got webinars that are going to be scheduled for this. So if you want to learn more later, you can register for those webinars. But I want this to be bringing this to my family, bringing this to you guys. You guys have seen my journey for the last 2+ years, from the Albert family channel to the Britta Albert channel, and that whole transformation that has taken place. And so I really wanted to just talk to you guys and say, hey, this is what's happening. This is where I've been. This is what's coming up. And kind of how the program transformed itself into what it's going to be. So it's called the Fearless Life Formula. And it didn't start out that way. So initially, I was encouraged by one of my mentors, Veronica Cresto, and she was telling me that she recommended that I do some sort of a program. And I was really nervous, but it definitely resonated with me. I was thinking, like, what could I teach? I have so many things that I'm passionate about, so many avenues. If you guys watch my YouTube channel, or if you're watching this on YouTube, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's so many different angles that I could have created some sort of program for. But I was trying to think about what a need was. And really what I came to the conclusion of is that there was a strong need to help people understand anger, understand the spectrum of anger, understand how to process anger, understand what unprocessed anger even looks like, what we think it is versus what it actually is, what it does to our body. And so I went down this road of, okay, well, I'm going to teach people how to process anger, how to handle anger, and kind of go this course on anger. So I started in this journey and I started to put together a curriculum, or I started to do research on even how to do that, partnered with some people. And as I got closer to bringing that kind of program together, I realized that I was talking to myself. And I don't know if you've ever experienced this or if you've ever heard this before. They say that if you want to learn something, you got to teach it, because it really solidifies what you're learning, what you're when you teach it. But also, you have a situation like me where I realize that there's literally a mirror in front of me, and I'm putting this curriculum together for the people that I want to impact in the future, and it's me. And I came to the realization that I didn't know the difference between anger and rage at that time. I do now. I've talked about this before on here. And it's so precious to me because the journey that it took me on, I could not have prepared for this. I could not have foreseen this outcome. And I don't know if you know, if you're familiar, if you saw some of the videos, but I took a weekend and I went to the mountains by myself. And for some people, that might not seem like a big deal. But for me, it was. I've never gone anywhere completely alone before. Even if I've stayed somewhere for work, or if I've traveled for work, I've stayed at a hotel and there's always other people around. whether or not I know those people, there's still other people around. I've never been anywhere that it was just me. And as I got there, the whole point of going there was so that I could encounter and I could face my own anger, and I could face my rage, and I could have this like rage purge. Like, I went with the expectation of just screaming my head off in the woods, nobody around to hear me. And I laugh because I had this expectation. Instead of just having the intention of a purge and the intention of healing, I set this expectation of what I thought it was going to look like. And I psyched myself up to go to the mountains and to find myself and to have this whole anger, rage purge experience. And when I got there, what I actually found was fear. And I had just a massive anxiety attack, even just getting up the mountain to where this cabin was that I was staying. And I got into the cabin and I realized how alone I felt. Now, I had my car. I could have driven down the mountain. I could have gone into town. I could, there were other people living on the mountain. So I really, even then, wasn't truly alone. I could find my way easily to civilization. But being in that cabin, I realized that if something were to happen, it was all on me. There wasn't anybody else who could protect me. And it was a really scary feeling. And it made me realize that I felt out of control. And then that went deeper into realizing that I had control issues. And as I started to study more on putting together this program, and the more people that I talked to, because I talked to over 50 people, questioning them and doing surveys and talking about their triggers and talking about what they actually need and what they're actually wanting, the things that I heard the most were that there's blocks, that there are blocks that are preventing each and every one of us from seeing our most authentic self. And these come from generational cycles that are toxic generational cycles. They come from society. They come from the way that we were educated. They come from like cultural, our demographic and geographic parts of the world that we're in. And just globally, we are not taught how to handle these things. We're not taught how to handle depression. We're not taught how to, we medicate, we self-soothe, and those things, they're helpful in the moment. Because in the moment when you're experiencing an anxiety attack, or in the moment when you're experiencing fear, you're in fight or flight, you're in survival mode. You can't take a step back and say, oh, okay, what do I need to heal here? Like, the most important thing is to get yourself to safety, or to make your body feel safe. So you're not at a place where you can even really get into the healing journey until a little bit later, when you're safely outside of the situation. Then you can come back, and then you can look, and you can say, okay, I can see this thing, and I can see this thing, and this was the trigger, and that caused that. But there was, if we could zoom in and pause a situation like that, and almost like a movie's playing, and you pause the scene in the movie, and then you zoom in, and you start to kind of take it apart, and you realize that we're learning the same things over and over again. We're having the same places that we're stuck over and over again. And we're sick of it. We're sick of feeling like we're unworthy. We're sick of imposter syndrome. We're sick of knowing who we are, knowing what we're capable of, knowing what we can rightly have, and then listening to the voice in the back of our mind that sounds like our parents, or it sounds like our siblings, or it sounds like our aunts and uncles and grandparents. It sounds like our friends or our teachers from when we were in school. We hear that voice and they say, don't do that. You're not qualified. You don't have what it takes. What are you doing? This is not the wisest choice. Everybody seems to know better about your life than you, right? But that's not true, and we know it's not true, and we find ourselves in this tug of war back and forth, where we say, I know I'm meant for greater things. I feel that in the depths of who I am. I know I'm smart. I know I'm capable, but I keep self-sabotaging, and I keep finding myself in the same place over and over and over again. And sometimes, hey Teggy, sometimes we get stuck in this continuing cycle of this tug of war. Like I was saying, like you know who you are. You know what you're capable of. You know what's in your heart. But getting there and holding it and overcoming those things and standing firm in the moment, we can do the work. But what happens when you're in the face of your triggers? What happens when you are talking to the person that you love and they're telling you why you're wrong? How do we hold on to the truth that we know? So what this program started out to be, it started out to be about anger. And what it is kind of transformed into is about freedom and identifying our blocks. But once you identify your block, what then? How do you heal that block? How do you release that block? And how do you know that the work that you've done, is over? Hey, how are you doing? I was not prepared for the journey that I would find myself on in creating this program. Here I thought, I'm qualified. I have what it takes to create a program. I know that there's a need in the world, and that's where I went. But what I ended up gaining from it was my own freedom. What I ended up gaining from it was finding what my blocks were and encountering my own mirror of self-sabotage and realizing that there is a better way. There's a duplicatable way that I can teach other people how to find your own blocks. And not only how to identify them, but how do you overcome them? How do you heal them? And then what can you do when you're in the face of your triggers and it's really time to test the product? It's really time to test the work that you've done, because you can learn something all day long. We just generally as human beings, we love to understand what it is that we love to gain information, shall I say. So we can learn so many things. And at the end of the day, if we can't put them into action, then what have we actually learned? Can you really say that you've learned something if you can't put it into action or you don't put it into action? So what this does, what this is meant to do, this program that I put together, is to bridge the gap between just finding what our blocks are and doing the shadow work and actually carrying it forward into the freedom that we seek. And I am gonna block some people here, sorry. So that's what I wanted to bring to you guys. That is a really, really oversimplified version of the process that this has gone through. That was a really simplified version of what this program is going to be. But that's kind of the backbone of where it started. That's the journey. You know, I started out with an intention, and I'm okay to say maybe that wasn't the full picture. And I am open to whatever's coming and implementing it and changing and growing and evolving this program until it fits just right for the type of person that I'm looking to reach. And it's not going to be just everybody. Of course, I would love to be able to help everybody, but realistically, you can't help everybody. And it's not going to be right for everybody because it's going to be a 12-week program, but it's going to be intense. Because honestly, I'm putting into 3 months what it took me 18 months to go through. Now, the benefit is I kind of did all the trial and error. So that's why it takes longer. I'm able to bring it in a 3-month period, but it's not going to be for the faint of heart. Another part of this, a huge, huge, huge part of this is going to be honesty. And when we're not honest with ourselves, we can't change anything. When we're in denial, or if something is too painful to look at, or we're too afraid to go there, that's just going to waste your time. It's going to waste my time. Like, that wouldn't be the right fit. That person wouldn't enjoy going through that process. They would spend the money and then be so dissatisfied at the end. Like, it's not worth it. So when somebody's not ready, it doesn't mean that like they can't do it, but it wouldn't serve them. And it probably would do more harm than good. Like, if you were forced to look at a trauma that you had and you're not ready to, it's going to repel you. Like, you're going to push away. You're going to try everything that you can to get away from that. It's going to be for the people who are not just ready to do the work, but eager to do the work, because you're going to need endurance. You're going to need tenacity to fuel you to get through it. But here's the other part, though. Of course, you're not alone. No one is going to go through this alone. There's going to be weekly classes. There is going to be one-on-one coaching throughout it. There's going to be small group coaching throughout it. And it's really going to be about building a community. So by no means is this, I'm just going to record some videos and give you some homework and you got to take yourself through this whole thing by yourself. No, I don't want to set it up that way. I want to see people succeed. So there's a lot of hand-holding. There's a lot of helping and walking by your side as you go through this. But I can't change anybody's life. And I'll never claim that I can. But I can help you realize the power you have to change your own life. It's the same thing as if you want to, lose weight and get six-pack abs or whatever your goal is. If you're buying really expensive workout clothes, it's not going to get you the results. You have to actually lift the weights. You have to actually run. You can buy the most expensive athletic shoes that are out there, and you'll look the part, but you won't get any of the results that you want unless you actually run in those shoes. Unless you're walking, unless you're jogging. You have to do the work. And that's how this is going to work as well. Everything that people will need to be supported and to be successful will be a part of that. But I can't force anyone to do it. So that's why it's going to be specifically for the people who are ready. Like, if you're teetering on the fence and you're just like, I'm not sure how I feel about it. I'm not sure if I really want to go there. There's nothing wrong with that. That's your journey, and where you're at right now is perfect. But it might not be the best fit for you right now. Maybe in a couple months, maybe in a year. When you feel ready, come back. And then it would be a far better experience when you're ready. So thank you, Olga. I'm going to read some of these now. Marvin, congrats, Britta. I know people will benefit greatly from your program. You're an amazing coach. Thank you, my friend. You are an amazing coach as well. We've got some awesome people in the chat, and I really appreciate you guys being here. I don't want to keep people too long. I just wanted this to be, like I said, this isn't, I have a master class actually that is for the Fearless Life Formula. That's going to be free, and I'll be running that next Thursday. Ooh, let me put that in here as well, actually. I'm going to put it in the comments and in the description after this live so that you can have the links for it. But if you want to register, I'm going to put it in the chat right now. If you want to register for the masterclass that's going to be next Thursday, same time, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can, you can click on that link and you can register. So in that one, I'll be going a lot more in depth, and that's going to be a bit more professional, where I'm going to have the slides and I'm going to really talk about deep diving. But you guys are my family. You guys have seen from day one. And before I come out with all that stuff, before I have the professional, words are hard, can't even think today. Before just to have the professional marketing or anything like that, I wanted to just come and have a conversation with you guys and say, I have been talking about this, you've heard me talk about it, and it's like, okay, Britta, where is the proof? You've been talking about this for months, where is it? I've been saying it's coming, and now it's here. And that's why the last couple weeks on YouTube, I haven't had as many videos. They haven't been on the same consistent days. I'm sorry. It will pick up as normal. We'll have more videos come out. But I just had to put a lot of work into this, and it had to take priority because my deadline, the start date of the program is going to be April the 26th. So it is right around the corner. And when I tell you guys hundreds of hours, hundreds of hours I have been working on this every day. So I wanted this, like I said, just to be really laid back, really low key, to bring this to you guys and say, hey, this is what's going on. This is where I've been. This is what's coming up. If you guys want to learn more, register for that webinar, the masterclass. It's going to be free. It'll really go in depth. And even if you don't sign up for the course, which is actually, I do have to mention this, is very limited spots for my first round of it because it's a beta version. So I only have, I think, 14 spots left, maybe 15 spots left in it. So there's not a ton, but if you want to learn more about that, definitely check out that masterclass, which is going to be next Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I'm going to hop off, but I love you guys. Thank you for being on here with me. Again, I know this was short, but I don't want to take up too much of your time. Just explain what's going on. I miss you guys. More videos are coming. More consistency is coming back. I promise. Things are really exciting right now. Hope you all have a great evening, and we will talk soon.